Welcome back to another episode of Fly to Freedom, and I am very excited because I have an incredible guest today, Dr. Robb Kelly. Dr. Robb Kelly is a world-renowned recovery expert who focuses on treating the causes of addiction, not just the symptoms. You might have seen him on The Doctors, Good Morning Texas, or heard him on the Jim Bohannon Show and Miracles in Recovery. He's the CEO of the Robb Kelly Recovery Group and has dedicated over 20 years to research and coaching in addiction and mental health. Dr. Kelly is also the author of Daddy, Daddy, Please Stop Drinking, where he shares his own powerful journey through alcoholism to recovery. He's worked with top universities, treatment centers, and even created recovery programs used in prisons across the US. His expertise spans neuroscience, trauma, family systems, and mental wellness. And I can't wait for you to hear his insights today. Dr. Robb, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Julia. Great to be here. Hey, guys. Great to see you.
As I said just before we hit record, I just do a few random questions. So, if you could have dinner with anybody, alive or dead, who would you choose to have dinner with and why?
Well, the first one is controversial. I can't say it. So the second one, I would say Princess Diana.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It's what she's gone through, and just an inquisitive mind, which would be really good for me.
Do you have any like quirky habits?
I do. Well, first of all, I wear these ridiculous looking bow ties. I set myself in a routine every day. I play guitar in the practice. So if people sat down in reception, you often see me walking through, playing the guitar and singing. They all think I'm crazy, but it makes people smile and stuff. And I'm randomly blessing people with money all the time. Every time I leave the house, I'm always trying to help somebody or make somebody's day. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's really nice. I love that. If you could instantly master any skill or talent you don't currently have, what would it be?
But if I can go anywhere extreme in the world, that is flying. Because I have loads of dreams about flying. So guys, flying dreams, please tell me what they mean. Like I'm in a prison and the guards are trying to get me and I just fly out of the prison. It's the craziest thing. I don't know if the prison's got anything to deal with it, but I don't know. That's definitely what it be. Definitely. And X-ray eyes.
Oh, they're good skills. They're like superpowers.
Yes.
What's the most unexpected or hilarious moment you've had whilst working in addiction recovery?
Working with addiction recovery, it would be picking. I'm picking this like superstar up from musical genius band, well known, but from the airport. But I don't know who it. I've never heard of them because I was over like 2 months here from England. We got really big on rock music. But I picked this guy up, and I know his first name. Let's call him Billy. So I had no idea. So a guy walked toward. I said, Billy, and he said, yeah. I said, come on. I said, okay. And we got in the car and everything was good. And I realized it was the wrong person. This guy was called Billy, but he wasn't the patient I was supposed to pick up. So
oops.
I drop him off. I paid for a cab for him to go home. So yeah, it was weird.
Oh, that's brilliant. And a question I love to ask all my guests is, what's the kindest thing you've done for yourself recently?
Oh, wow. I mean, I do the massages every week and stuff like that, but we were just discussing after that, I need to be more kind to myself. So we just booked a vacation to Manchester and then Scotland, and then we're going to fly over to Ireland. Massage every week. We have what's called Feel Good Fridays, where I pay for all the staff to go out and have their hair done, nails done with the patients that they're working with. So I need to join them more, be kind to myself.
I love that. Really like that. So you kind of specialize in addiction, and many people with eating disorders feel stuck in like addictive behaviors around food, exercise, body control. From your expertise in addiction, how do these behaviors mirror like traditional thoughts on addiction?
So before I say anything, guys, I've got to explain to you that we're neuroscientists, we're psychologists, we're behavioral scientists. I myself on two PhDs. So the stuff I talk about today, we've researched, we've tried, we've tested with a leading authority for many bodies in the US. So we cover alcoholism, addiction, childhood trauma, PTSD, depression, Alzheimer's, dementia, and eating disorders. And what we found, we just used to specialize in addiction. Now we find 5% of our work is addiction and 95% is the other things I've mentioned. Because while we're doing our studies into addiction, we found out there are several patterns that are regular with any addiction. So whether it's an eating addiction or body image or substance abuse, it doesn't make any difference. The brain reacts the same way. But the only thing that's different is alcoholics are born, drug addicts are made. People with addictions are made because of certain things in the brain from the alcoholic. So yeah, same treatment, same show up in front of layman's terms, all you can recover from 100%.
What's the role dopamine plays in all this?
Well, there's 4 chemicals every day that need to be happening in the brain to make us happy. Dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. They're the 4 neurochemicals that we need. So with the neurotransmitters, if there's 4 chemicals, the last thing of the day, we're happy. And there's no reason we can't be happy. 2 chemicals, everyone thinks the 4 chemicals are made in the head, but they don't. They're dopamine and serotonin created in the gut. So unless you're eating properly, that reward system isn't going to happen. And without the reward system, one would get depressed because it lowers the serotonin. Dopamine is really important. And we can get dopamine by complimenting somebody. Hey, nice shoes, Jimmy. You feel better after saying it. And he does because he just changed his world. People think it's really hard to change the world. It's not. You do it one person at a time, and then you do it a group at a time, and you get on TV, and you do it, millions at a time. I mean, it's really not that hard. I mean, from homelessness to here, I just want to say, one thing I'm sat here on my ivory tower, it's not hard. You've got to do the right things, but when you get into the dopamine itself, great reward system, and make sure you get it every day. There's certain things you need to do every day to get these guys.
Can you tell us a little bit about your journey with addiction and why you do what you do, how you came to be here now?
Well, I was born into an alcoholic family, but I didn't know that then, of course, because it was hardly mentioned when I was a child back in the 70s. So when I took my first drink at the age of 9, I didn't know I belonged to an alcoholic family. I didn't know that my family was dysfunctional. I'd never heard of that word before. So when I took my first drink, it was a ticking time clock for me, that's all. Now, addiction can skip generations, alcoholism can skip generations, but it got me. Which basically meant from the first drink, I was always going to do great things in between, but I was always going to end up a couple of weeks. Asylum, locked up in jail, or dead. They are my 3 choices. But of course, we didn't know it then. So as I grew up, I always wanted to be a pro musician. So I was on stage at 9, a musical family, and wanted to be famous, and school went great, and the first person in our family ever to go to college, and but I played at Abbey Road. I was a session bass player at Abbey Road with Queen, Elton John, all the great guys at the time. I paid my way through college, left college. Drinking was crazy, but it wasn't a problem. I had my first child set 4 on the Bible. I never drink again. I lasted 4 hours. My first daughter, and then continued drinking. The second one was there. I swore with 2 Bibles at the hospital. I'd never drink again. That lasted 3 days. 3 hours, sorry, 3 hours. And then got married, and then I had all these great things that were trying to happen, trying to get me away from that because I didn't think I had a problem. And what seemed at first an entire lifetime was really a blink of an eye where everything was gone. Like the houses, the cars, the medical license, the money. It was just, I did some horrible things. I I left my children in malls and drove 5 miles for alcohol. I drove home from London to Manchester on my second bottle of handled, you know, the big vodka. Stabbed my wife 3 times one night. She won't let me finish my drinking. And horrible stuff. Horrible stuff I did. So when it all come to an end, I remember sitting on the street. But my dad, so when my marriage split up, I went to my mum and dad's. I lasted 4 days, they threw me out. Friends acquaintances in the streets. But my mum and dad was like, my dad, the idea was no drinking in the house. So I could move in. Second or third day, they found me drinking in the house. I'm not going to do anything about it. It's mum and dad, you know. Fourth day drinking, and about 10 p.m. at night, when I was well into the alcohol. My dad, he was a very quiet man, never really spoke much. Opened the door, bedroom door, and started to put stuff in this little carrier bag, like a Tesco carrier bag. I don't know if that word Tesco for ages. And then he walked me downstairs. He gave me, I think it was £10 back in the day, which is like $100 now. He gave me this little carrier bag, and he said, "That's this, and you got to go." And he closed the door. And that was the first night I spent on the streets.
Must have been a really tough moment.
It was, you know what, Julia, years and years later, when I finally got sober, I was sat in my mum's house, and Dad was at the bar with his friends, the pub, Friday night out. And I said, this is what changed everything about me with addiction, or one of the things. I said to my mum, "Hey, remember when my dad threw me out?" And she said, "Yeah, I do." I said, "You know something? I'd never forgive that man for that, Mum." And she looked at me. I still get a bit upset when I say this. And she said, "Let me tell you something. In 56 years of being married to my father, that was the only time I saw him cry." And
Yeah.
I got punched in the chest. How obnoxious, how, oh, I can't think of the words. It's disgusting of me to think that I was the only one getting hurt. I was the only one who was hurting. And it was just, I was like an infectious disease. My alcoholism infected everybody I came across. And there I was on the streets, and I died twice on the streets. Piccadilly Gardens there, they brought me back to life. And I just wanted to die. Just absolutely horrible. And then one Sunday night, Monday morning, about 2 o'clock, and back end of Piccadilly, where the factories and offices, not a human being inside. I dropped down to my hands and knees, and I just said this. I said, "If there's a God up there, I can't do this anymore." It was just kind of done. And 30 seconds later, a guy walked around the corner named Derek, little Bible in his hand. He missed the last bus home from Bible, so he walked an hour. He took a shortcut he'd never taken before, and he came upon me. And he said, "Oh my God, do you need help?" I said, "Yeah, I'm an alcoholic, dying." He's a Christian, alcoholic in recovery, took me back to his house. And then my journey kind of started there, because the next day he took me to an AA meeting that I didn't really want to go to. But I met a guy called John. And when John spoke, he was absolutely amazing. So I asked him to sponsor me. He said, "No, but I'll be a spiritual advisor for 12 weeks. I walk around that man's house every Wednesday. I left there at 6, walked there, got there at 7, and walk up to his apartment at 5:02. And at 8 o'clock, no matter what we were doing, walk out. Got on for 9 to 12 months. He told me everything was going to happen to me to this day. But after 2 weeks of working, he said I'd be working within a day or two, and he came to went back to his house and find him. You could never trace that one. What he taught me was getting people well, and he told me that God told him I have to guarantee people can recover. And I'm like, "You can't do that. You can't. I'm sure you do. You can't." But I did, Julia, and I came upon barriers and people, trying to talk down to me, and you don't know what you're talking about. And I've faced that most of my life, but came over here, adamant, that we're going to change the world, and that's what we've been doing ever since.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for being vulnerable and open and sharing your story. That's pretty powerful. I kind of feel that it's so much, you put so much more behind it when you've lived through it. It's not a job. It's like why I coach is because I've been through it. I've lived in anorexia. I've been through recovery, and the difference in life and spirituality, and knowing that actually the universe is there for us. It's not against us. But we have to take aligned action. We have to ask for help, and we have to be open to it.
That's exactly what it is, you know. The universe opens, crazy things happen. And we've got scientific research to back that up, which is amazing. But we're true believers. I have 5 officers around the world. We're all true believers. First of all, that every single person employed by me is covered alcoholic, food, sex, porn, drugs, recover from the disease so they can teach me. I truly believe that you can spend 20 years in college on addiction certifications, PhDs, but unless you've been through it, you don't know how I feel when I
Yeah.
and you have no idea what I'm capable of doing if you try and stop me having a drink. And I think that once you've been through it, we're 90% there. The brain also tells us with the mirroring part of the brain, if I can relate to you who's been through it or halfway, we're 90% there straight. But if you're trying to teach somebody with any addictions, or especially food addictions, and you haven't been through it, there's no way can you connect. There's just no way you connect. You have to feel and experience what the patient is going through from your own experience. And therapists know your limitation. You know, the addiction side of mental health is totally different to everything else you could imagine. Alcoholism and addiction is not what you think it is. Law of attraction is not what you think it is. There's so many lies and myths going around. So yeah, have to have experience. And once you make that conscious contact with the mind is energy, okay? Can't touch it, feel it, it's energy. And the brain sits over it. So mind over matter, the brain's matter. Wouldn't it be amazing if we could control the mind every morning to have an amazing day that tells the brain what to do? Well, we can. When the energy connects with another energy, okay, and you do your neural path work and your trauma work, and that connects, your DNA changes. You're not the same person. So I'm scared to relapse. Well, it's impossible. So the person you was before. But there are rules and regulations you need to follow. I have a morning routine, I have an evening routine, kind to people every day, complimentary people, and I put myself out there. And that's what keeps me going today. It's very, very important.
I completely agree, and my life is so different. I'm a completely different person, and I do believe that certainly in my field of expertise with eating disorder recovery, that it is truly possible for anybody to recover fully and completely rewire their brain. I really truly believe that it doesn't happen organically. They have to do the work. They have to show up, and it's tough, and it's going to be uncomfortable, and it involves facing a lot of fears and stuff. A question I have for rewiring the brain, because it's not changing the neural pathways, is it? Once they're there, you have to override them with new ones. Is that correct?
Well, 300 neural pathways die every single day in the head. There are billions. So if 300 pathways die every day, what are you replacing them with? Is what we ask people. Are you replacing them with old patterns and old behaviors? Because if you are, you're either going to be stuck in that place, or you're going to relapse, or you're going to live a miserable life. Neural pathways, every single person in the world with any kind of addiction can 100% recover once we use 90 breathwork therapies and use software that we just started using. We use NLP, we use psychology, we use brain spotting, all these latest tools that we use, but 100% can we rewire brains, 100%. And I can say this, Julie, after 9,500 patients and millions with my books and my TV stuff, it's like 100%. That's what we guarantee, you know, because there's myths around there, and there's beliefs that we can't do this, and there's beliefs that we need medication to recover. And let's take drug addiction. You can't give me a drug to cure drug addiction. That doesn't make sense to me. And it's the same, but you've got to do your work, like you said. Okay, trials and trauma is the gateway drug. And the reason why it's a gateway drug for people with any kind of addictions or depressions is we are more sensitive to other people, to childhood. So you might go, well, that shirt is terrible. You look an idiot with that shirt. My brother's like, yeah, and you look an idiot too. I take that on board as a personal hit towards me, and it sits in the subconscious brain for years. You know, when it comes to fruition, guys, when I'm going for that job, that guy, that girl, whatever I'm doing, going for, I'm going to kicks in, you always the time. So that work has to be done because the basal ganglia takes on negative and positive. But if you keep putting negative into that repetition, strength, and confirms part of the brain, then it's going to become a working part of the brain, and you're 100% going to believe that you can't do something. It's not true.
A question that I don't know the answer to. I believe I've completely recovered from living 40 years in eating disorders. And I have no fear around food. I fully give myself permission to rest. I've done all the work, and I grow, discover more about myself as a person every day. But the old neural pathways, do they still exist in the background?
Always existing, and they don't go. So our belief is, without testing, trialing and stuff in hospitals and with surgeons, is this: that there are billions of neural pathways. Every single neural pathway in the brain for health, for wealth, for success is already there. Period. But this is what happens. So here's my, let's say, neural pathway to wealth. I mean, it's not going to make you happy. But let's say it's to wealth, and it's sat there in the brain for years and years and years. And what I'm trying to do is this flailing neural pathway is trying to connect to this as I start building a business or getting my kids back, and it misses. And it misses because of the childhood trauma that we haven't healed. Once we connect them neural pathways, they're there for good. So more testing we did is, how do we choose a good neural pathway than a self-sabotaging one? And what we find is there's like a mini V in the road that you come to. And I have around 7 seconds to decide, am I going to romance that bad idea? Or am I going to live the new idea, which is the success of my life and being kind and stuff like that? The more the good neural pathways are used, if you can imagine 2 roads or 2 freeways, the main freeway is the bad one, we're just building this good one. But the more we use the good freeway, the bad freeway starts to get unusual. We'll get bricks on it, get moss on it, you can't drive through it. The idea is it's still there, but it's very hard to travel on that anymore because you have this road to success where you're happy and everything going good, but they're still there. I remember relapsing some, I don't know how long, 9 years ago or something. And the relapse was based around, I got this. The relapse was based, I was going to buy that $100,000 car and show it in front of our friends. The relapse happened 2-3 weeks before I even relapsed. It's not the alcohol. Alcohol has 1% to do with alcoholism. The same with every other addiction. It's like once you step away from that routine that you're in, the good routine, the less chance you've got traveling down that self-sabotaging road.
So they're never completely dormant, then it's you always making the choice that's going to take you towards the person you want to be, the way you want to live.
Yeah, and it's a spiritual thing, and it's a guidance thing, and it's a personal thing, you know. When you're sick and tired of living like that, when you're sick and tired of struggling, whether it be food or sex or porn, when you're sick of doing it, there's always a great way around it, and you feel a lot better. You just have to understand what's going on in your brain. You can't just say, well, an alcoholic is somebody who drinks too much alcohol. You know, somebody who struggles with food, you know, they're just overweight and trying to get thin. And so many myths around addiction are just not true. But people start to believe them, and then you have doctors who really don't care, medical doctors, over here especially, because if we can't give you medication or stick you in a treatment center, there's no money there. You're a lost client, you're not going to them. And it's huge over here. You know, it's like this isn't instant. Nobody's coming to save us, guys. We have to start saving ourselves with the information and the education from people who have been there, who are educated, streetwise, and I came from a council estate. You know, the worst council estate in southern Manchester. You have to believe, you have to move forward, and you have to stay positive every single day, because the brain doesn't know the difference between truth and false. And the law of attraction. Let's say I'm watching Manchester United on TV, and it's channel 30. Now, I have a big screen TV at home. I've got channel 30 on. I'm really into the game. My brain is telling me I'm there. And what I do is I shout at the referee, I boo when the other team scores, because I visualize myself there. I'm fully engrossed. The wife walks in, don't even hear her. I'm right, the brain goes, you're right here. Then my daughter takes the remote control and she starts flicking through all her channels. And all of a sudden now I'm aware there's like 400 channels on this deal, but I can't really concentrate on it because I'm all over the place. You have to take that remote and put it back on 30 to concentrate. Because of all these myths and things going on, the idea is that recovering from anything is to quiet the noise around. So you have that direct, talking about God here, guys, if you don't like it, I pray for you. So that God, supreme, universe, whatever it is, if you get the conscious contact and stand in the sunlight and the spirit, you are untouchable. Untouchable.
It gets easier, doesn't it? The difficulty to make the choices that align with who you want to be, to begin with, the struggle, the fear, the both physical, emotional, and mental discomfort of doing that get easier and easier and easier the more you do them. And I'm guessing this is because those new neural pathways are getting stronger and stronger. You're going along that new road, freeway, and making it clearer and clearer.
Basal ganglia, this is where the basal ganglia comes in. So the hypothalamus at a certain point tells people to do something wrong when they should have been right. The hypothalamus is our survival part of the brain. So that's corrupt with most people with addictions. Basal ganglia is very, very clever, because what it does with normal people, if you can imagine a clock face, you know, they leave the house, a girlfriend, and you're married, and kids, they have a great job, and everything's great. And it goes round and round and round when we do it. And basal ganglia, people addict you. If you imagine a clock face of 10 after, everything's going well, 20 after, we relapse, half past, spend the wife back, 22, we get the job offer, and 10 to we do it all over again. So the more times, because there's a default at 10 to the hour with people with addiction, so we always relapse. We have to mend that with stuff we've just been talking about, but the more we do it, the more it becomes a working part of the mind. It's like when we first drive a car, guys. I took my driving lessons in a Mini. It felt like a double-decker bus I was driving when I first. I was so scared. But then after a few months, when I passed my test, I'm reversing down the drive. I'm waving at mom. I'm listening to the girlfriend or whatever I'm doing, listening to music all at the same time, because that's become a working part of the mind. It's imprinted in the brain. It's the same with any kind of addiction recovery, is the more we do something good, the more it's imprinted in the brain. We don't have to keep going back to them self-sabotaging behaviors. And that comes purely, the gateway drug is childhood trauma, it's purely from the childhood trauma and the way we've been brought up. If you're brought up in a dysfunctional house, let's say it's a little girl, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 12. If dad keeps coming home a couple of times a week drunk, and him mom end up in a fist fight, and then, you know, she's trying to hide because it's violence. The next day, mom and dad get up and say, I love you. Oh, I love you too. I'm sorry about last night. She leaves that house thinking that violence is okay, because that's love. And she will attract the same person who ends up beating her and probably drinking too much alcohol, because it feels comfortable to the extent that if she was to meet a great guy who looked after her, she would sabotage that relationship because it feels weird. It's not comfortable.
It wouldn't feel like her normal.
Yeah, and that's the patterns we get in. People stay in relationship way too long. People stay in jobs way too long because human beings hate change. We don't like patterns. But there was I love telling this story. Back in the late 60s, there was a young 16, 15-year-old girl got snatched up the side of the road, tumbled into a van, and gone. And there was a huge manhunt out for her. They could never find her. So 9 months later, when the case is forgotten about, presumed dead, a police officer in the car was following another car down a country road, and he had a broken back light. So he pulls him over, And back in the day, and whether you remember this, there's no Google or anything like that. So you used to say, I was a police officer for about 2 years. You say, what's in the trunk? What's in the boot? You go, a yellow jacket, pair of boots. Open it, yellow jacket. Yes, it's his car. Oh, off you go. But he was very shady, this guy. When he looked in the back, there was a few stuff, but there was a stolen screwdriver there. He still had the finger tap, no receipt. So now we're allowed to go back to the house and see what else. And sure enough, lawnmowers, drills, ladders, he'd stolen from the hardware store. But while they're looking around the house, they find a box in the corner. And it was about 4 foot high and about 12 foot wide. And the police officer said, we know you've got more stolen stuff in it. So they smashed the lock off, they opened it, and there was the girl that went missing 9 months ago. She was bruised, she was battered, but she was taken out every single day. And you can imagine what he did on restaurant abuse, food, back in bottle. In 9 months, he did that. So when the woman police officer went over, the girl reached her hand up and she helped the little girl step outside the box. She took the police coat off her and she wrapped it around this young girl. What's the first thing the young girl did? She got back in the box. And that's the self-sabotaging, disgusting behavior we pick up when we're being tormented or bullied or kept or jailed or anything like that against our will. That becomes a stuck on us, and even throughout the pain, like marriages, and we just stick with it, and it's horrible and horrible. And comfort zone, and human beings do not like to step out of comfort.
Familiarity.
Definitely that, and people live in comfort zones all the time, and people only they only act about 45–50% of their capabilities and capacities because they don't know, and that's how we live life. I was supposed to grow up. Suffer from alcoholism maybe, but get married, live on a council estate, have 2 kids, work till I retire at 65, and then 2 or 3 years later die. That's what all my family did. That's what I was supposed to do. But so I've been told me, like, God, suffer from alcoholism. I want better than this. Because I think anybody that's been through any kind of addiction, we're very lucky. We get 2 lives in one life. We get the first one that went terribly wrong, and we're in pain. And what happens is you get well, and the pain from previous illnesses or diseases or alcoholism then becomes our greatest asset going forward. And we're teaching other people how to get away from it. Can you imagine you being dropped in China somewhere, and I'm in a car and I don't know, I need James Street. You pull over, hey, can you tell me where James Street is? But yeah, well, I've never been there before, but I don't really know it. But I think if you turn left, turn right, turn left, I think it's around the area. You're not getting to James Street. Next guy pull over. Can you tell me James Street? Yeah, I used to live there. No problems at all. I'll show you exactly where it is. Then it gets to James. So you need that experience of said disease, and it is a disease when we talk about high performance. And that's the whole idea of recovery. Is it's not about me, because I believe in God. Okay, whatever God, your God is, 1300s. Okay. I know for a fact that when I get to heaven, I know what God's not going to ask. How much of a house you live in? God, 4 million? How much that Rolex watch you wearing now? 50,000? That's beautiful. You have 4 cars. It's not going to ask me that. It's going to ask me one question. How many people did you help? That's it. And I want a big number. And that's why I'm 63 and I have no way am I going to retire. There's no way. We give half our money away. This is what I'm meant to do. And if we can, that's why I come on here, Julie. Everyone thinks, get a podcast, comes on, sell your business. You'll never hear me sell nothing on here. Because if me and you can change one life when this goes live, job done.
I think there is so much reward in that, isn't there? It's not about success financially or how well known you are, but the fulfillment of knowing that you've helped somebody, that feels the best.
It does to me, because it's like I was always chasing money coming from the council estates and just get 10 grand in the bank. I can just get 100 grand, 250, $500,000, $1 million, 5 million, 10 million. It just never stopped for me. But when I started, and it's easier said here because we don't have to worry about money. But I have lived in the rough parts of Manchester. But the thing is, when you're being kind to someone and being of service to another human being, that's why I get out of bed every morning. that is what keeps me alive and keep me energized today. Is it's not about me. Everyone makes it, oh, it's about, I suffered this. Yeah, God bless you, suffered. I'm sorry you did that. It will become the greatest asset, but now it's time to get well and help others. That's why you've gone for it. It's why you're dead. Got to finish with it. You'll be dead. You haven't. You've chosen to do this. So he'll give you everything you want and everything you need, but the job is yours. This job is to spread, help, and motivate other people so that they get well. That's the job, and I love that job. Love it.
What would you say to the person that has the awareness that they are being held back by familiarity? They know they don't want to live that life anymore, but they're terrified of stepping out of their comfort zone.
Comfort zones are a horrible place to be. Okay, so now listen carefully, guys. I'm going to tell you something. Everybody in the world can be a leader. Everybody in the world can step out and be a success. Everybody in the world can change their lives. Everybody in the world can do anything you want to do in the world. Anything. And you know what you say to me like 10 years ago, well, I can't be president of the United States. That's what the smart answers always used to come back at me. You could do anything, Billy. Well, I can't be president. Okay, let's forget our political views and to politics. We had a business in running the country for 4 years with no political experience whatsoever. Don't dare tell me you can't achieve your dreams. Somebody's put that there. It's not true. So the bold way to do it is step out bit by bit every week. So I was working with a guy and he hated his job. He just hated everything. He was miserable every day. Jobs were hard to get. So I was talking to him in the session. I said, what do you like doing? So when you create a business, I can't create a business. I'm not a business person. I work at a factory. Well, yeah, what do you like to do in your spare time? Oh, I don't want to tell you. Oh, wow, this is going to be interesting. I said, tell me, what do you do? He said, I knit socks. I said, brilliant. I said, what do you do? Christmas. I knit socks for all the family. I said, okay, well, we're going to buy your website and we're going to buy your business cards and I want you to try and sell one sock a month. Are we up for it? He's like, yeah, we're up for it. We're up for it. So we did some subliminal messaging with him. That guy owns the largest company in the world who makes socks. In actual fact, when you buy a pair off them, can't mention who it is, they give one to charity. And that came from a little mustard seed. Why don't you do this? So if you're eager to change your life, there's a 7.3 second rule. And that 7.3 second is you need to move toward it as soon as you have that goal plan. So if I want to build it, I want to do this, or I want to step away, man. You know, all behaviors, all thoughts, they'll keep you there. Remember, guys, I like speaking to you, Jill, because you're British and you know all the British ways over it. It's different. We used to kick a football in the street round when we were kids. Billy, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a football player. Jimmy, a doctor. Do you know what happens to them dreams? I'll tell you. They were kicked out of us by family and friends. If showing your friends are showing your future. If you want to change your life, you can't hang around the people that you're already with. You have to hang around the people you want to be. Hang around 90%. You'll become the 10. Same with everything else. The mirroring part of the brain picks it up. And the more you do that, the more you hang around, the more you become. Which takes me back to stepping out of the comfort zone, stepping away, starting a new life. This is how it happens, guys. So we did some research back in 80s in a school in Lancashire. And we went in, this is during my late 80s when I was back on thriving on new research. And I got with a company, scientific research company, and we did a test. And what we did is we went into a school that a friend knowed the headmaster. And we said, hey, here's the deal. We have come up with this test, this exam, and it's like 20 questions. For your kids, and I think they were ages 9 to 12 or 7 to, very young kids. And we'll tell you the top 3 in your school that are going to become captains of industry or doctors. And he's laughing. He said, that's not possible, surely. And we said, yeah, of course it is. Of course it's possible. So we took the testing, we did it out. They all did it. They handed it back in. We traveled home. We come back the next day. So we had the 3 guys. And the headmaster said, I can't wait to hear this. Well, Johnny, hey, Johnny Smith, are you sure? Yep, Johnny. And there's Peter. Oh, okay. I'm not too sure about it. And there's Jill. Oh, I don't know. But they're the 3 people that's going to be geniuses in captains of industry. And we're telling you, we'll call back in 12 months' time. Sure enough, 12 months' time to the date, we arrange, we went back there, and the headmaster went, we need to take this to the government. This is mind. How did you know out of 400 students that these 3 students was going to excel like we'd never seen before in the school? How did you know? And we said, well, first of all, we did the test. We threw all the tests away on the way home. Secondly, we picked 3 random names in your school who took the exam. But we told you that they're going to be genius. And because you treated them like that, so you can't. And that's the way of life. When you start being treated as the person you want to be and capable of doing, it's easy to take that step away from old people, old job, old behavior. It really is. And step into the unknown, guys, and you never regret it.
So that really goes along with the old phrase of kind of fake it till you make it as well, doesn't it? Start acting as the person you want to be and you become them.
Yeah, and it's so powerful when you said that, because I'm sick of saying that. So to hear it from you, it's exact. People don't think it's true. Oh, it can't be that easy. It really is that easy. It's the brain doesn't know the difference between the truth. So I'm getting excited now. The brain does not know the difference between the truth and the false. So if you're just doing false, but you believe it's to be true, then it's true. If you think you can't do anything, you're right. If you think you can, you're right. There's no middle ground here. You're either pregnant or you're not. There's no middle ground with any kind of addiction. You're either all in or all out. Now, if the brain doesn't know the difference between the truth and the false, with 300 neural pathways dying every single day and replacing them with what we want to be, it's going to happen. And it's that simple.
Yeah. Just feels uncomfortable to begin with when you're doing it. Like I had such a strong inner critic, evolved from childhood, and I was so mean to myself. And when I didn't want to feel as shit as I felt, to be honest. I hated it. And I started to use this weird concept to me at the time called self-compassion. And I started to speak to myself kindly, how I'd speak to other people. And it felt so uncomfortable. And it felt a bit like a lie to begin with. But the more I did it, the less uncomfortable it got, to the point now where I'm actually generally really nice to myself all the time. And that inner critic hardly ever gets a look in. And that was absolutely by faking it.
Yeah, I mean, internal dialogue from oneself becomes thought patterns, becomes behavior. So, most of us have when we try and change is the imposter syndrome. It's huge and people trying to change. But it's the internal dialogue that starts it all. And the internal dialogue goes back to childhood trauma about the way people speak to me. So I've seen all sorts, but my mum used to say, no, my dad used to be stupid. And then call my sister, you fat mess, and she'd be running and she'd be laughing on the ground. It's words like that we take on. And, when I dropped a pen on the ball, you idiots, gotta stop that, guys. Because the internal dialogue will be stuck in the subconscious brain and it'll wait for the perfect opportunity. So if you can't speak to yourself kindly, how can you speak to anybody else kindly? If you can't love yourself, how can you love anybody else? You will become emotionally unavailable if you don't love yourself and haven't done the work and trauma work pertaining to oneself. You're going to go right back. Now, you'll be able to, do it. I mean, you can fake it till you make it, but you have to do the work.
Yes.
And just faking that, oh, it's not happened to me. Well, it's because you haven't done the work. I mean, there's work to do here, which is not hard. Everyone's to, oh, it's so hard. Stop saying that. Oh, I'm just, I'm 1 arm away from a drink. Stop saying that. Just stop it. I don't call myself an alcoholic today. An alcoholic is someone who's dependent, medical journal. I'm not dependent on alcohol, guys. So, I've recovered, getting one's health and state of mind back, but I don't tag myself with that. I tag myself with, I am a British businessman with 4 companies living in America that's very successful. And that's what my brain believes it to be. I don't start going, I tell you what, there was a chef in our restaurant. I have a 4 business, one's a British restaurant in San Antonio. And this was only shortly after everything I know, Junior. And I said, hey, you got any beans, anything like that, peas or whatever, slap on the sandwich, make a button. And I went to get it, but no, that's cold, it's cold. But I put it on anyway. And I folded it, and I said to her, Julie, on the way out, I used to live on the streets, it was nothing to me. And what she said to me stunned me. And she went, yeah, Robin, you don't live on the streets now. That was a pattern that I'd been in all of my life, telling people I was on the street. There was only like 2 or 3 months ago, and I had to stop and go, wow, that is so powerful. So today, I asked if you got any beans left, and they go, yeah, I'll warm it to you. Is that okay? Yes, ma'am. It's good. And that was something I know. I'm still treating myself as if I'm on the streets.
Would you say that pretty much all of this goes back to how we perceived the world as children?
1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. The household that we grow up in is what we are and what we become, what believes to be the truth. So I used to get dropped at my mum, and my mum and dad used to every Friday night working people. Mum would clean houses. Dad worked for the gas board outside, digging the roads and stuff. I was a little embarrassed that they did that, but whatever. But there was about 8, 9, 10. Remember them dropped me off at their friend's house every Friday night so they could go out, have a good time, go back home, sleep it off, pick me back up. And that went on for years, and I was okay about it. What I forgot to tell myself, because I thought it was normal, is when my parents used to pull out of the driveway of their council house, their friend's council house, they would tell us to play the run around naked game. So we did. And adults would catch us and tickle us and stuff like that. I didn't know that was child abuse. So for many, many years after that, I would never get undressed. I would never take my shirt off at a pool. Never, even though I was a bodybuilder at the time. I'd won a few titles. I was willing to bodybuild. I wouldn't take my top off because that was a direct correlation to that. But it took me years to find out that. So every behavior today either comes from people around us or it comes from childhood trauma. And the people we hang around with childhood trauma, if we attract what we think we are worth. We don't attract what we are worth. And the think framework is based, like you said, on how we're treated as a child. And no parents are to blame here. I mean, my mum and dad didn't know, the vicar molested in church several times. And I told my mum, and she went mad at me. She hit me with a wood shoe, stole, sent me up to bed, and just speak about it, because like, how dare you, dirty mouth. And that was it. I was never validated for that. I never approved. So my relationships into adult life for many years was dysfunctional and emotionally unavailable.
I'm sorry that happened to you.
Yeah, I had to do some really brilliant work on that. It was tough. You see, I get, especially women today, I go, oh, guys, well, the women that's been abused or raped or molested as a child, but they've suffered all life with it. And the reason they have, they were never validated for that terrible life. They were never, like, when you validate somebody being there, I know I validate that being a real reason you have to suffer with that. And, I'm sorry for that, when we validate stuff like that, the weight, you could see the weight come off them to be carrying that burden all of their life, and nobody ever mentioned it went on. I don't know about your house, but he's scrubbed under the carpet. Don't you ever say anything outside his house. It stays in the family. That was child abuse. So we came up with a saying that really pissed a lot of people off 5 or 6 years ago, but it's turned out to be true. When I was studying for my PhD, my professor sent me to Chester Zoo for a year to watch the primates and the apes and stuff. I know people have to have 2 jobs and stuff, but you see so many parents sticking a game stall upstairs, go and play a game. Anything less than nurturing as a child is child abuse. Think about it, guys, before you throw something up with a computer. Think about that. Look how apes and primates nurture each other, play with each other, clean each other. We can't do it as human beings because we have to pay the rent and mortgage and all that. But when you do have time with your children, it needs to be nurturing, whether they're 3 years old or 33 years. Doesn't make any difference.
And being present, that's so important, isn't it?
It really is. And like, we get precious time with our children Time goes, everyone thinks about time. Time goes so fast. Mums, how many times have you said 1 minute, waking them off to kindergarten, sorry about American talk. Next thing I'm waking them off to college. So what happens to that time? Because that's your life. It's gone. That's 12 years. It's just been gone. I mean, where's it go? So every single second of the day, I'm grateful. Every minute of the day, I'm always doing something. Human beings are not meant to sit down. Stop going on watching the TV all night. Stop sitting in the oven. Get up and walk out. We've got to stop telling Granny to put another extra layer on and turn the heat up. We've got to tell her to get outside and get some fresh air and stuff like this. And it changes everybody's. The thing that we suffer from as human beings is, one, we eat plastic foods, don't we? Secondly, oxygen. Don't get enough oxygen. And all these thought patterns and trauma are based around oxygen. The subconscious brain loves a hypoxic situation every single day. It loves it. We wake up with the start of oxygen because of the sleep pattern between the hours of 2 and 5. Normal circadian sleep pattern from the body is like emotional debt. So we wake up, the subconscious brain during the show. You need to do the 3 things every morning. The target is a conscious mind. So go out being the person 100% you're supposed to be. And people that act and progress and behave 100%, miracles happen to you. Miracles you've never even dreamed of. I see it every single day to you. I see miracles every single day with people around me.
I have to bring up what you just said about like getting up and going for a walk and stuff. In general, I totally agree. And one of the first things I do every morning is walk my dogs, and it's actually my favorite time of the day. But there is part of recovery, certainly from anorexia, where rest and stopping that doing and being present is one of the most important things you can do.
Definitely agree with that. Yeah, definitely. I mean, sometimes you're too sick. Sometimes we need rest. Sometimes we can't stuff. Sometimes, it's a mixture of both. But generally talking about the general people, not even addiction people. But yeah, when you get into illnesses like that, I mean, you can't run again in the morning, go for a run or something every morning. But it's important you get the other stuff in life. You get the sunlight. You get maybe some grounding and some fresh air and stuff like that. It's really important.
Yeah.
But certainly go.
So would you say that one of the most important things is to stop accepting all the thoughts and start questioning them, start being aware and asking where they've come from rather than just taking them as facts?
I think so. Yeah, definitely think so. I would agree with you on that, 100%.
What are your most successful tools for helping people overcome addiction and trauma?
I would say the 90 breathwork experience, the new software we've got, is like therapy on steroids, times 1,000,000%. I mean, we're having some amazing results. Only been out for 3 months. But yeah, that's definitely one of those. The second way is NLP. We do brain spotting. We do psychology, behavioral science. These are the new neuroscience tools that we use to take somebody from A to B. And that's when we found a lot of the times that it's not even the addiction. It's just people in general who go round and round and round and get used to living a certain way. You get used to, like my dad was quiet. It was terrible. You couldn't speak to dad. I worked with him for about a year in between college, and we'd drive an hour in the car. He would never say a word to me, ever. I think it's really important that we take no action but fruits.
Sorry. So how do people find out a bit more about you and these tools that you use?
So if you're listening and driving and not watching, I spell my name with 2 B's. ROBBKELLY.com is the website. Dr. Robb Kelly in any search engine in the world, put it in there, you see us, come friend us, all the social medias, everything's available out there. I'm not personally taking on any patients right now, so we can't really help you as such. But I have therapists and coaches that could help you. One thing we do is if you're a parent and you have a child that's going through early addiction or alcohol abuse, you can call the number on the website 100 times a day for information. You will never get charged. This is something we have 3 people sat in the office waiting for that phone to ring to walk them through. And one of the reasons we did that is because my mum died way before cancer from the worry from me being in the streets. And, so we want to be, there's nothing available to me. And I hear things now and we didn't know what to do. Call the number. No one's going to try and sell you anything. We have enough money, enough places, thank you. But we call them to do never not giving you information and guide you.
I will put the links in the show notes as well so people can find you. You mentioned that you had some copies of a book that you wanted to give away to some people in the US. Yes,
guys, Daddy, please stop drinking is the last thing my daughter said to me 30-something years ago. When the authorities took them off me. Said 3 things, Daddy, please don't go. Daddy, please get better. Just walking on the path with Mum's hand. And she turned around and said, Daddy, please stop drinking. So when we wrote the book, we finished it about 4.5 years ago. We just didn't have a title. And then out of the blue, after 30 years, Julia, my daughter, messaged me on Messenger. And she said, I've just seen on TV, I don't believe all the stuff that Mum told me. Can you come over? Well, we have a lot of people around us that does stuff for us, thank God. So we were on a plane within 4 hours. We went over there and knocked on the door. I thought, yeah, so we flew over there. Said she wanted to see us and that she has something to show us. When she opened the door, we cried. All the shame left me, all the stuff. Then she took me by my hand and she walked me into a living room and handed in the pot. So when we're talking, when we're over there, we said, hey, we've got the book, don't support it. And she said, what about the last thing I said to you? She was Daddy, please stop drinking. So it's kind of in a child's handwriting. It's on Amazon, guys, but don't just message me, mention Julia or myself, send you a free copy, I'll sign it, I'll ship it free of charge and everything on one condition. Give that to somebody else when you've done reading it. Free. Amazing. I love that. Absolutely love that. Thank you for being an absolutely incredible guest. Just before we sign off, is there anything else you want to leave the listeners with? Just believe, guys. Just believe that you can do anything you want in the world and then make moves towards that. Be kind to everybody. You never know what people are going through. And the last thing I would say is there was a guy that went to the Golden Gate Bridge and threw himself off on the mountain, committed suicide. When the police pulled him out of the water, they went back to his house to next to the camp. They found a note on the table. And the note read, I'm going to walk to the Golden Gate Bridge, throw myself off, commit suicide. Unless, on the way there, which is in the Carol's book, somebody says hello, good morning, nods at me, smiles at me. I'll stop right there, I'll turn around, and I'll try again. Question, how many people you walk past today once? Who's heading to the Golden Gate? He was never new, so be kind. I love that. And yeah, the smile costs us nothing, does it? And it can make so much difference to somebody. So thank you so much for sharing that and for being an amazing guest. It's been wonderful chatting to you. And thank you so much, listeners, for being here. So much, Julia. Thanks, guys, for listening to me and giving us some time. And I'll be back next week. Thank you.